I remember that.
All right, hello, everybody. Welcome back to another iteration of the My Hero Academia Manga Chapter Reads. We got the newest chapter, 407, with us right now. I'm here with Mark.
Hey,
And Mark, there's something I always do before every new chapter. What would that be?
recap episode.
You actually cut out for a little bit. I want to rock. Yeah.
If it wasn't for the fact that I'm not here like by myself, I would have gone all out. But I was like, oh wait, I'm not here. What do I do?
Oh, okay, gotcha. That was still like pretty up there though.
I took a huge breath on that when I said. I don't think you're ready for
the combo.
I don't think you're ready for this chapter, man. This chapter threw me off. I was like, I did not expect this shit to get so dark.
Okay.
I was like, Horikoshi, I know you said you wanted to work on a horror manga next, but Jesus Christ.
This is just the workings behind such a thing. Let's do just a really quick recap. It's pretty much just the first 2 pages of 406, right? I was talking about like where everybody was at, and then we cut straight to Bakugo. He's the one who just like really quickly like rushed up on All For One, sent just a cataclysmic explosion his way. Dude's still alive, of course, but yeah, it's setting things up to be, you know, like our 2 main characters at this point, fighting against like the greatest evil forces in the world at this moment. I think they were talking about Bakugo's quirk just a little bit more, and the fact that like, yeah, it has a side effect, but it's also kind of hurting him at the same time. But at the same time, it helps like keep him kind of on rhythm to pretty much line up those explosions just right and propel himself at like crazy amounts of speed. And honestly, All For One didn't even care. He was just like, this guy's just small fry. I don't care about him. Let me just go off and like go try to link up with like Shigaraki. Bakugo wasn't having that. And the more that he had like gotten his way, he got reminded of like the second user. And we were talking about it. Yeah, no. If the second never stepped in and helped out the first in the first place, none of this would have even happened. So now he's like justifiably
if never
upset.
gone and helped Yoruichi, this never would have happened.
Yeah. So it obviously we still have our speculations whether or not like that's an actual like predecessor like of some sort, like as far as like family bloodlines or anything like that, or just simply it just looks like him. But it's definitely triggered like All For One off, and now it's just like his focus has now been fixated on Bakugo, or maybe Bakudo. Oh no.
I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think about that. I was like, oh shit.
I saw that. I was like, wait, huh?
I was like, oh shit, I didn't think about that.
What's cool is the fact that here Bakugo introduces himself. Congestion. He introduces himself as Kachan Bakugo, which is kind of a playful term here.
Yep.
And yeah, that's pretty much 406. So you're saying that 407 is something out of the woodwork.
This chapter's it's good, but it's also pretty fucked.
All right. Well, we'll just jump right into it. So, for about a year, the sex worker had been suffering from hardened growths on her left arm.
Already going off strong.
Yeah, it's like, what? It's like, what? Are you sure we're not reading something else? Like,
oh, trust me, you'll see.
All right. Also, I might take a moment to like pause like recording. Actually, I should have a button set up for that one in case the congestion gets just a little bit worse. But let's see. Number 407. Exceptional. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and pause real quick.
I was scared to get a drink, bro.
Oh my God. Where's my pause button?
Bro,
I don't have it here.
What is wrong?
It's rather persistent. Oh, it's right. Here's pausing. All right, welcome back, everybody. Sorry about that. real quick, we haven't even started, so it's totally fine. So about a year, the sex worker had suffered from hardened growths on her left arm. Which, again, wild thing to just kind of start up like on a chapter. But then again, it's not the worst one I've seen. So
This
we'll
is true.
continue.
We've seen the series does get dark occasionally.
Well, I'm talking about like other works, like as far as like an opening. It's like
True.
number 407, an exceptional child. Uh, it zooms in on her growth. Ugh. She wasn't even aware of her pregnancy for the first 8 months, and her
Which is
unstable lifestyle.
wild.
Yeah. I mean, listen, you're thinking about other things in her situation.
But did you not realize you're 8 months pregnant? Dude, you should be showing by then.
Fair enough. Especially when you look at the bottom panel here. We'll get to that. But yeah, first 8 months, not even noticing that. And her unstable lifestyle wasn't the only reason for that. She simply couldn't feel what had taken up residence in her uterus and had begun sapping away her very life force. Bro, so that panel just shows two children. One of them possibly just a regular child. The other one's Jimmy Neutron.
Well, I think it's more because the other
No,
one's
yeah,
taking majority of the nutrients.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's like it's a sheer difference in size. One's just like so teeny tiny. It's that one little baby from from PT,
Aw,
and the other one is just like Who are you
that's a
again?
big boy.
The big boy. Next page.
And no boy.
Oh my god. Oh my god. All right.
You see,
So
you see what I mean now?
yeah. All right. So next page is kind of a shock to the system, real quick. Um, but they continue telling the story here. She gave birth to the twins on a riverbank before dying on the spot.
Good
Yikes!
lord.
And for some reason, the growth on her arm completely vanished. Shows a little panel of just like her, like essentially
Like,
lifeless body next to a
yeah,
baby.
her lifeless hand next to the baby's hand.
Yeah, the two babies were alone in the world. Right around when the rats showed up to gnaw on the newborns and their mother's corpse, the flooding river swept the babies away. Holy.
You're like, well, this escalated quickly.
Whoa. Well, so I guess we can assume what happened to the mother at that point.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah. 1 year later, this is the next page. The news of the glowing baby was the first of many worldwide reports of an emerging meta abilities. And then they kind of just give you the My Hero Academia intro here. These meta abilities didn't only these meta abilities didn't only present at birth. They also started to present after like the fact in young people going through puberty. One research group looking into the matter hypothesized that a novel disease was to blame. They announced that those meta abilities, why has the congestion come back up again? Were a sub branch of humanity with new genetic factors.
Basically, I guess you could say, like sub branch. I think that means like a subspecies.
Mm-hmm. I'll go and just take this last page here. The declaration was reckless and premature. People with are social organisms, so the statement divided them and added fuel to the chaos to come. We just get a shot of like just a city in flames in the background, but you can also see up front it's honestly something straight out of The Last of Us.
This is a apocalypse situation.
We have a couple workers here, and they're talking right now. Seems like those meta freaks, yikes, started gathering.
I don't think they're workers.
Maybe extremists.
Probably rioters.
All right. Started gathering over by the industrial zone. Got to be the same ones the demon demonstrators. That was a weird cut.
It's the
Demonstrators is kind of a long word. I get it, but that's like quite the cut in between.
it's the
Demonstrators
dash
clash.
between the two.
Demonstrators clashed with last night. Better take them out before they can regroup and rise up. And all of a sudden, they hear something like in the back, in the shadows. They turn to him. It's like, who's that? Who's there?
Who's that? It says his helmet says Meta X in the kanji.
Oh, whoa. Uh-oh.
And we turn to this. We go to this page and we see a little boy in a black cloak,
Oh, that's not good.
and
It's
we
not
see
good.
them go, an exceptional child, maybe. Look, I feel bad, but leave him be. Kids are more likely to be carriers. They're acting like it's a disease that spreads,
Hmm.
and they're like, they feel bad for him, but they're like, we're gonna leave him here. And so he's gives that creepy look. He's like, hmm?
Bro.
And you hear, shh. He said, the guy's like, hmm? Shh, shh, shh. And he said, what's that sound? Huh?
Oh.
These guys
Oh
got
God.
one's got skewered straight through the face. The other one got skewered straight through the side of his head. The other one's getting skewered straight through the side of his cheek.
Whoa.
To the next page, ay ay ay.
Oh no.
Horikoshi, my, oh my. This boy is using a
Oh no.
quirk that we've seen him use before. This is wild.
Yo,
This
you were you were joking about like, oh, this is a horror manga right now.
and this we see the narrator saying, as we see him
Oh.
with his with one of his spikes going up, it says this was the meta ability he had stolen from his mother.
Oh. Oh.
So
Okay.
the growth disappeared because he took them.
Yeah.
The child was imbued with hubris and a disrespect for others from the moment of his birth. Man was born a menace,
Yeah.
and you could see it would appear they're crawled on top of their dead mother, and
Oh. I can
it
barely even
looks like
recognize. Oh, I can't see her. I can't see her.
I think he's attempting to breastfeed, which is fucked.
I mean, not. I mean, well, that's probably like a baby's instinct. I get that, but like, obviously, this one's not quite right.
He viewed all within his in reach as his own possessions, as we see him holding his little brother's hand.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, that
Those
yeah.
who those who wouldn't turn to look at him when he cried and screamed, those who wouldn't provide him with anything. This is a creepy ass panel right here.
Yeah.
That look as he's biting, slurping, it's like he viewed with utter distrust. We see the city, and then we see this kid absolutely just murked like one, two, three, four different guys. He whooped all their asses.
Mm-hmm.
And we see a can is thrown at him. He's like, hmm. We see Yorichi, a little boy. He's like, stop, don't hurt. Most of the nutrients provided by their mother, Yorichi again, don't. Then we see the narrator again. Were stolen by the older twin, leaving the younger twin small and frail. And he's kind of said, boom, just kind of kicked his little brother over.
Damn. Without hesitation.
Just boom. The boy's smaller sibling provided him with nothing in particular. Still, the latter was one of his possessions, and not one he would readily relinquish.
Hmm.
Should I read this last one, or do you want to take it?
I guess I should. Yeah, I should probably read this part.
Okay.
So some time passes. Still in the story. Looks like it's a little bit of a bit of news. Amidst the growing societal divide, the original glowing baby, now grown, has taken a stand. Oh, wow. Talking about the glowing baby, and it's calling for the return to a peaceful, safe society. This leader gains more supporters day by day as we get shot just like this building with a gaping hole in it. This is where the twins are at. Looks like this is all for when he just landed. You kept this from me? What are you reading? Yorichi's like, well, I'm still learning to read, so big fancy books are too hard, but these comics are just wow. It's like you read the pictures and they tell you the hopes and dreams of people in the drawings. Like this hero in bold. Someday I want to be like him. Captain Hero.
Captain Hero.
I want the origin story stat.
Can we get a side story?
The younger twin still hadn't completely given up on his older brother.
He's a good kid.
Mm-hmm. And back to the creepy panel that we saw earlier. In his faint memories, he recalled that hand. Right, when he was getting grabbed by just like by bigger older brother baby.
He's like, you come with me.
And wanted to believe that his brother's grip had been gentle and kind. 3 years later.
It's because you want to hope for the best in people.
Right. It's pretty dark panels here with like books like sprawled about. Did you hear? Apparently, the famous glowing baby reached 10 million supporters. That's a lot of supporters back then. I'm guessing there's no social media here either, so it's like, whoa. But yeah,
Basically, he's like, no TikTok, no nothing.
no TikTok, no YouTube, no nothing. It's just he's just straight spitting, and people are falling behind him.
Woof.
Anyway, this is Yorichi. He's ragged. He's like, brother, weird, right? Says All for One. I mean, why use them? Just because they were officially the first ones in the record books. 2 weeks ago in India alone, 50 babies were born with meta abilities. Wait, that glow on you. How did they manage to rally so many people to them? Isn't it bizarre? So I killed the leader and stole what was theirs.
He took the glowing baby.
He took the glow. Of course, he's such a menace.
Menace. Fucking menace.
And he's smiling about it too. Yorichi's like, what, why? All for One stands or lands. Remember what that comic book said? One for all, and all for one. Words to live by. Oh my god. Next week. Oh no, I saw the panel, but let's continue here. That hero had to hide his identity and battle on in solitude, while everyone paid tribute to the wicked demon lord out of fear. We get this big big panel. Oh, I guess should I go ahead and finish the rest of this because like that's the rest of the chapter.
It's up to you. If you want to do this, if you want to do this, you can do it all. It's up to you.
Okay, I'll wrap it up then. It's All for One again. Big expression, big smile on his face. Well, not the biggest smile, but obviously
Creepy
he's
little
like, yeah.
shit.
As you were inspired, I now want a world that exists for my sake and mine alone. I've found my dream, he says. And then, whoa. All right, so now we're at the last page. All darkness. We have Yorichi like running forward. Wait, why are you leaving? And after I granted a power of your own. Hey, who are you? And you see the second, like as you zoom in closer to Yorichi, he's grabbing by the hand. He's running forward. Get away from him! That one's mine. Hey, look at me. If you refuse to be mine, then it kind of zooms in on like the hand. Enough of this. And it just shows like that same hand from Yorichi's being severed off, and that's the end of the chapter.
It's like, so essentially that means if he couldn't have him, no one could.
Yeah.
And I think that, as someone pointed this out, it's like, holy shit, maybe that's why he hates Kudo so much, because he's one of the few people who took something that was his.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess I kind of like now, like with that thought that, you know, given All for One's ability to take away quirks, like the way that they kind of set up in this story, the background story, is that he's been able to take without anyone saying no to him. And, you know, Yorichi's not going to say anything. He just like simply believes that like he's the kinder older brother and has that potential. But no, he's been stealing his entire life. Even straight from his mom. without like even consciously knowing it.
Yeah, he just said mine.
It's pretty tragic, actually.
This man was a menace from day one.
Yeah. And it's because no one got to like teach him like beforehand.
Well, here's the thing. Even so, it's like Yoroichi didn't have anyone to teach him either, and he still ended up better.
Yeah. I guess so, but what's also interesting is the fact that it just kind of does confirm that All for One's been there since the very beginning. Since it just, I mean, obviously he's not the glowing baby like from the start, but he amongst like a mass group of other people have been reported at that point to develop quirks. And prior to that,
Even before the glowing baby,
yeah, and that could be one of those things where like maybe some people already had powers to begin with, like prior to
they
that,
weren't
and just
like
weren't addressed or even announced. So I was wondering if their mother knew about the growths on her arm being like that, because
to her. To them, they might have just shot her. She's like they just said it was like she had this weird sickness, so like they didn't know what it was yet.
yeah. So I'm kind of, well, I'm not confused. I'm just more curious as to whether or not she had like a power that she was very aware of, or this just kind of manifested so far late into her years. Or actually, it may not even be that far into her years. I'll just keep an open mind about that one. But yeah, no. Because I was just wondering like yeah, because it seems like the development of quirks have been very consistent. It usually happens like right at like birth, or it's like, well, actually that's a big time frame, or like during like the developmental ages, like as a kid. But
This boy
if those growths actually
was
just started to appear, it's like, huh, that's weird. Obviously we know what they are ultimately, and then like because she had a baby and the baby's like quirk just kind of manifested as a take all quirk, whether that's a mutate thing or that kind of came from like whoever she was working with. um I don't know. Now it's got me thinking like what happened further back now. but you
I
know
know it's wild.
but I really would like to know the origins of Captain Hero instead. That'd be sick. I mean, that kind of reminds me of the time. Well, they would embellish on like Buzz Lightyear's like story. I mean, that's kind of a more recent thing, but I think if anything, back from Fairly Odd Parents, it was that one dude, Captain Nebula. They did
Right.
a they did a whole origin story for them. It was actually pretty cool. So, I mean, I'm totally down if they just did like a side off thing with Captain Hero, even if it is like fictional within a fictional world.
Right. And it's like I'm reading some of the comments in here, and some of them they make some good points.
Hmm.
It's like one a couple that I think were actually worth reading were like robbed of a mother's love at birth, left to drown in blood. He was to die beneath her corpse, meant to rot in a cesspit of despair, born to die as a waste of air.
Hmm.
Another one was basically like where is it? Where is it?
The other
Where is
ones, we don't kick
it?
babies.
Shit, that one I saw that one. I think one that so yeah they said that that final page is probably when One for All was first passed on or through their wounded hands, like Deku and Bakugo in Heroes Rising. Ooh, that could be it. And then they
Hmm.
say they liked that AFO was a fucking monster from the very start, but like the narration acknowledges, they were alone. They didn't have anyone who could teach AFO different or keep him in check. So they latched onto comic characters they identified with. AFO wanting to become a supervillain could have been a twisted kind of affection for Yoichi, since he was playing along with Yoichi's fantasy in a way that flattered his own ego. And
Hmm.
it explains why he hated the end so much, because if the hero won, then AFO wouldn't be able to be with his brother anymore. Narration seems like AFO's lust for power and control is linked to loneliness and bitterness for the people who refuse to look at him, which is a very Tamura-like thing.
Oh boy.
Accidentally question mark killing Yoichi probably set on that path even more, because he wanted the one person he always had back and doubled down on his destiny to become the ultimate villain in order to justify his actions to himself. Surprisingly deep without being redeeming. Very cool. I agree with Mr. Black Knight Halberd underscore 42. I was like, I agree with like some of what he said because I think he makes some very good points.
Yeah. I like that connection because we've seen All for One and sociopath, yes, but that doesn't mean we can't like look into it and see exactly what even led to that even. And I think the origins that was presented to us like in this chapter really kind of tell you that like, hey, yeah, no,
How he
the
got here.
how he got here is, I mean, I would say Tomura's is pretty dark as well, but at least he grew up with a family.
Yeah,
Granted,
Tamura was
yeah,
very unfortunate. It
yeah,
was
he was also
very,
pretty
very
unfortunate
unfortunate.
due to certain circumstances within the family, certainly. But unfortunately, you know, I think regardless of whether the mother lived or not, All for One wasn't like really good starting out.
Yeah,
Whether he,
his mother would have been a prostitute.
yeah, and whether she cared or not about the kids at that point, um, it's not like she,
I'm not saying
well,
prostitutes can't be mothers. I'm just saying
right. It's just
it's a
like one of
certain
those things where
thing.
like it's not gonna be like the quote unquote normal life that
Yeah, it'd
like we
definitely
would
be
want a
different.
kid to have.
Yeah.
If she really cared, then she would obviously would want to try the best for them, obviously, but we wouldn't really know that.
And she also didn't notice she was pregnant for 8 months.
Yeah, and I think that was also like due in part by the fact that like when All for One was conceived, it just his quirk was just kind of there already. So
Yeah, like he hit it from the jump.
yeah, so any telltale and like tell signs that he's like there, um, and I'm not sure like if the mom being a bigger girl makes a difference as far as like her noticing that.
She didn't
But
look that big.
I was wondering like maybe they just kind of like blended a little bit, but it's like that's hard to say because like it even though like Yorichi's like really tiny, he still could be a little bump.
Yeah, I mean, like my thing is like, because I thought about that too. I was like, well, here's the. She does not look like she's nearly big enough to hide that she was pregnant. Like that's where I'm like, nah, she's not. She's not that big.
Yeah, I guess it's different with everybody, but I don't know if you like follow social media, certain social media influencers, you'd notice like, oh, that's a big belly.
That's a big boy.
It's kind of wild.
I mean, bro, my nephew was born and he was your average weight. He was like 7 pounds,
Hmm.
but he's in
During
the
that
top
time.
percentile for everything now.
Mm.
His head size, his height, his weight. He's a beast.
Are you sure that's not All for One right there? You might want to check one on.
Shut
You might want to check it on.
up.
Has he been reading comic books?
I don't think so, man. The most this boy can get out is a couple words, and
He said his first words. He like goo goo gaga. The world is mine. Oh god, I don't know. But yeah, yeah, it's really like tough when someone like All for One can like grow up without any type of like mentorship or like parental guidance, and you know,
I saw that and I was like, did we give him too much credit?
I think it's tough because obviously they learn to fend for themselves.
Yeah, naturally, you learn to do what you can to survive, and I think that's kind of what they did. But at the same time, it's like because I think we said like, yeah, maybe he's a sociopath, but he still cares about his brother. Now we're like, okay, maybe that's still a thing.
Okay.
But I was also like, maybe we gave him too much credit. I'm not sure.
Oh, that's what you mean. Yes, you're right. We gave him some credit because I thought it was just one of those things where like he loves his brother in a weird twisted way. No, it's just
I
like no,
think that
that's his property. That's how he sees it.
I think even still, it could be considered a weird, twisted way, but still pretty fucked up.
It's pretty, yeah. I think the thing is the fact that he like engages with him with like regular conversations. Granted, you know, All for One had learned to pick up on communicating with other people growing up at some point.
Yeah, no one ever taught him how to speak.
No one taught him how to speak, but he learned to speak, but he didn't learn to communicate. I think that's the thing. But he's able to still talk to like his brother relatively normally, albeit still pretty one-sided. It's like, what you up to? Anyway, so I've been doing all this other stuff, so it's like he doesn't really care. Yeah. I think I keep like going back to the panel where he like kicks his younger brother like that. And I was like, that's
Dunk,
foul.
just dunk.
And he was already stealing quirks at that point.
From the fucking beginning.
From
This
jump.
from the jump, this man was a menace. It's like, what the fuck?
What are you even doing? Man, to think that like this is all like me just thinking about it, but the fact is that the kids way back when Bakugo and I don't know which one to like which name to go for. Well, Todoroki. Um were like doing their exams and you see the kids with like various different quirks. And granted, um, all of them can be like pretty extreme. And the fact that they could have been like that same menace. I'm glad they haven't, but yeah. Honestly, I'm looking directly at Chain Chomp Kid.
Chain Chomp Kid.
Like he could have been a real menace. But he's surrounded by people who care about him, or at least want to raise him right. So he's alright. All for one, no. He's at this point where I don't think even the way that they're raising him, obviously the way that they end this chapter, where he's a little bit more desperate. He's like, "Why are you leaving? Who are you? Get away from him. That's mine." And almost like, granted, like it's still kind of messed up how he says it, but it does seem like one, he's desperate, and two, like he doesn't want that being taken away from him.
Yeah, it says he's like, hey, no, that's always been mine.
Yeah, in the way that they could probably even twist this to be more of like, you took my brother away from me, and that obviously that could have like a different tone where it's like, oh, I do care about him, but maybe not. I'm not sure, but
I think he probably cares about him in a fucked way, but like, yeah, just in a fucked way.
jeez, but yeah, I'm not sure if this is trying to set him up for a possible like possible ending where like even if he does die, it's not like he's always bad. Like he might have a realization at the end. I'm not sure if they want to try to redeem him in some sort of way in that regard, but I would still appreciate the fact that like he was still like a person that had feelings, was raised just differently, and just ended up with his own conclusions like this. But given how like old he is now, it'd be really hard to sway him otherwise on like a proper path until maybe he would just be on his deathbed and he would have to regret and think back on everything. So I don't know. It brings a little bit more humanity to All for One, which is actually appreciated because he's like one of those characters who doesn't really get a fleshed out like background thing, except for the fact that he's a menace.
I wonder if we're gonna learn his name now, because we still don't know what his first name is.
They will find out. We're finna find. It's Decker's gonna like look and reach back into the depths of like the whole like space of like All for One and One for All, and he's gonna learn that name. And he's gonna drop that name at a very critical moment. Maybe.
That would be wild.
We'll find out. There's unless Horikoshi decides not to. Like his name's not really important. I'm pretty sure he has a name already
It's
in
like,
place.
yeah, he's
Yakuza the man stole his name. Bro, he took his own name.
he took his name.
Actually, wait a minute. That means Horichi's like name was just given to him by not his mother, but probably from like from All for One.
from his own brother.
Hmm.
Maybe.
What if it's like just like passing down the powers, he passed his name on to him? But that's like, nah, that's not exactly how it works.
It's possible, but it's also like, huh.
I don't know. It's that's weird. Now we're really like trying to think about like, so how did they get their names? Obviously, All for One just like got his like from just the theme of the comic book, but Yorichi is kind of different. We're not entirely sure about that one, but yeah. All right, I think that's pretty much everything. Mark, is there anything you want to add before we go ahead and call?
uh, no, I think we pretty much said all we needed to.
Alrighty. Well, let's see. When's the next chapter? We're about to find out. Right now. Oh, I guess maybe not. So, oh wait, perhaps not. Yeah, it looks like we don't actually have like an actual date quite yet. So expect a week or two, whichever works.
Okay, okay.
So, all right, guys. I guess we'll go ahead and call it until then. So, everybody, appreciate everyone for tuning in. I hope to see everybody in the next chapter read. Hashtag bye, everybody. Take care.